Hello, peoples. So, I had a dream the other night, and it was interesting. Okay, so anyway, I was at the church. I think it was the Edam church. I often dream about the Edam church. That's where I grew up, and I grew up in Edam, sorry, and that's the church I went to. And I was talking to this woman named Jody who goes to the Edam church, Jody Gabrick, and who has went to the Edam church since I was a kid. She was an adult then too, so she's not the same age as me. And I was talking to her, and anyway, she had in the dream, she had long blonde hair. It was like a potluck or something that we were talking at. She had long blonde hair, and it looked really nice. And I remember thinking, it looks really nice. She doesn't have long blonde hair in real life. It's not even blonde. And I remember thinking, I feel inadequate. I wish I had long, thick hair too. And then I was done talking to her. I was talking to my Auntie Camille. And I kept talking about myself. Mostly just talking about myself. And not really reciprocating, like my Auntie Camille would ask about me, and then I wouldn't turn it around and ask very often about her. And I remember feeling in the dream, oh, I'm such an idiot that I'm not reciprocating, and I'm so selfish. But I didn't really change what I was doing. And then my cousin Suzanne showed up, and she's someone I talk to sometimes. She's the same age as me, and she has 3 biological children and 1 adopted child. She adopted him. He's 3 and a half now, I think. Maybe he's 4. And anyhow, so she adopted him. He was the last of her children. She adopted him. And anyway, I dreamt in this dream. I'm assuming that in the dream, I think that all of her other kids belonged to her. They weren't there, but they belonged to her. And that's a funny way of saying it, but they existed. And also, she was holding this toddler. He was this little boy with blonde hair, and he was about 2.5 years old. And I was kind of thinking, I was like, she has a kid, or 1.5, 1.5, not 2.5. She has a 1.5-year-old, and I don't talk to her that often, but why did she not tell me that she was pregnant, and then anything about him since then? And so I was feeling really inadequate and unliked and uncool and a variety of things similar to that. And I said to her, I was like, why didn't you tell me? And she said, let's not go there, or I felt turned down. Let's not go there, or dismissed kind of. Let's not go there, or just don't talk about it, something like that. And it really wasn't that mean what she said, but I kind of felt bad because I'm her first cousin and we're the same age and we grew up together and yada yada. And I was like, so I felt even more inadequate and uncool. And then she let me know, actually, we only got him 12 days ago. We only adopted him 12 days ago. And I was just like, okay, so he's adopted. She wasn't pregnant with him. And then she had him pregnant for 9 months. So it's not like this has been a 2.5-year secret. I was like, she just got him 12 days ago. She hadn't told me she was planning on adopting. That kind of was weird. But she said, yeah, that she had got this baby recently. And I was like, oh, so maybe I'm not quite such a loser that she didn't want to divulge some secret to me. And I was like, that's okay. So in real life, I had been thinking, and I'm not about a big issue. I had a kind of theory about this really big issue. And I thought my theory was crazy. And I told it to my husband and my sons, but especially to my husband, and he kind of indicated that he also thought it was a little bit crazy, because it is. And it's far-fetched, but I still believe it. And so anyhow, I was feeling, am I wrong? Maybe I'm just completely wrong and I shouldn't be having this theory and I'm insane. And I was really doubting myself and feeling bad about myself. So in the dream, I had the emotion that I was doubting myself and feeling really bad and stuff. And the action of, I can't exactly, recall how I wrote down the action, but anyway, and I wasn't quite sure, but the setting I know was what I just mentioned to you, and the interpretation that I had was that, and I want you to hear my interpretation because this was a very subjective experience. Like some dreams really, I mean, every dream is subjective, but some dreams, especially prophetic dreams about like something that's not related to you at all, you can kind of not say, well, I dreamt that because this means this to me, because you just dream it and you have to work with what's there. It's not really about you. This was about me. This was a subjective dream about me. So the interpretation that I got, that I want you to hear, because I think that I was correct in this interpretation. Yes, it is making me feel better, but God doesn't give you dreams to make you feel bad about yourself. And in the dream, the interpretation was that what I was thinking, even though it was a little bit far out there, I don't know. Anyway, even though it was a little bit far out there, I shouldn't just dismiss myself and doubt myself and think that I was wrong because it was crazy what I was thinking, my theory. So that actually made me feel a lot better. So it didn't really clarify a lot about my theory. It didn't give me a whole bunch more points to go, oh, I have evidence to back this up. But sometimes you don't need evidence. Well, you do. But sometimes to have a theory, it doesn't always need evidence at first. So I felt like, don't just dismiss my own thoughts. So it was a very uplifting dream, even though the dream itself was sad. So it was kind of depressing. So I just wanted to share that with you, and that is the interpretation that I really think is correct. So you can see that a weird dream, where, especially with those people that are subjective, you would have seen a lady with long blonde hair and a lady with a baby that she said she just adopted, and you wouldn't have known that I was thinking I talked about myself too much to my Auntie Camille and I felt crazy about it and bad and selfish. You wouldn't have known that. You would have just seen what happened in my dream, and you would have come to a completely different conclusion or no conclusion than what I came to, because that means something to me. And so pay attention to dreams that mean something to you and come up with your interpretation, and don't doubt yourself, because no one else can interpret your dreams like you can interpret your dreams. Bye!